my background is in education, so I am not a supply chain expert by any means, hardly even an AI expert. My AI journey began earlier this year in January. So what I have to offer you this afternoon is just the perspective of someone who last summer did not know what an LLM is to this summer having a team that is using an LLM on a daily basis. So hopefully my perspective can help guide you as you're making some decisions about how you may want to use AI, and we'll see. This will be very interactive. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions and ask you to talk to each other, so bear with me on that. Also, I want to name, I'm talking about AI contractors. I'm going to tell stories about an AI contract that we signed at Hunter, an engagement we had, but I'm not talking about an AI contractor that was here today. So if an elephant was in the room, we're just going to show it out the door and continue. And I'm not going to name who it was, just because that will allow me to speak more freely about the experience. So when I say AI contractor, by a show of hands, do people have an understanding of what that is? Do people know what an AI contractor is? No, okay, good. I'm glad I thought to define it. So when I'm talking about an AI contractor, I just mean a third party, could be a person, could be an organization, someone or some business that provides AI solutions for you or your business. So when I said the contractor I'm talking about wasn't here today, Turnberry is a good example of an AI contractor. They offer AI solutions for people that they build for you to use in your business. So knowing that, why would someone use an AI contractor? This is your chance to talk. If you have spent the whole day talking to no one and you're hoping to keep that record, just make a mental note or write it on a piece of paper. Otherwise, find someone nearby. Why would you use an AI contractor? I'm going to give you 1 minute. That was 40 seconds, but the popcorn has stopped popping. So someone tell me, share out, please. And Andy, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you I would be getting audience participation, but can someone shout out, why would you, or your partner, what was something they named about using an AI contractor? Why would someone do that? Go ahead. Yes, you can't build it yourself. Yeah. You don't have the knowledge or expertise to do it yourself. So that's sort of where the Hunter story starts. And how I am here today. We wanted to build a solution around an LLM, but we didn't know how. We had no idea. So, you hear all these things about what even is a large language model? Are we building the large language model? It hallucinates. What is that? And just in case you don't know, a hallucination is the large language model. Its purpose is to give you language that sounds like a human. And if you're asking it a factual question, it's giving you an answer that sounds human-like, but it's not based in fact. So they call that a hallucination. At least that's my understanding. We didn't want to put something in production that was riddled with hallucinations. We also didn't know, is OpenAI going to train on our data? That was like a scary thing to think, we've got proprietary data and we're just feeding this large language model with it. We didn't know how to build the solutions, and we didn't know how that would get into production. So if you think about building an application that does forecasting or predictive modeling, how do you go from writing that code to getting that into the hands of an end user? It was very confusing for us, not to mention there were a lot of headlines like this where we didn't want to be producing an AI solution that could cause harm or damage our reputation. There were lawsuits. OpenAI was getting sued. Microsoft was getting sued. Everyone was getting sued, and we didn't want to be included in that group. So we decided to sign a contract, and it was a 3-month contract where we agreed with this AI contractor, you build the solution, but teach our developers along the way. Kind of hold our hand, give us some insight how you did it. And at the end of the contract, if we want to use your application, we will. If not, we'll split ways and no harm, no foul. Even though we went into that contract telling them we wanted to know how to use their solution, it took a lot of pulling teeth to get them to actually show us what was happening behind the curtain. And when they finally did it, I think in the third month of the 3-month contract, we learned that it wasn't actually that complicated of a solution that they were using. And so, our team kind of sat back and thought, well, maybe we could do this ourselves. And if you aren't a developer, there are tools that exist. Basically, you could think of it as pre-written code called libraries or SDKs, where a lot of these AI solutions are built for you, and it makes it a lot simpler for people like me who are 1 year into this journey, less than that. So we decided to build it on our own, and I want to share some of those lessons learned and then have you all share if you've had an experience similar. But basically, we left that relationship with a little less trust than I would have liked. It's hard. People are in sales and, these aren't car dealers, but, there's this idea of you can't trust a salesperson. But we had a relationship. And when we agreed on something like the learning that we thought we would get from the experience, and that didn't happen, it was hard to want to continue that engagement. And so if you're looking at third-party contractors, you're looking for someone to build a solution for you, and you're like, well, I don't know, Lee told me that these things aren't that complicated, I would trust your gut, but also I feel like not enough people are using Reddit as like a research tool. I know those people can be crazy, but they also will share their opinion and they'll bring the receipts, which, they'll give you the facts. And I did just that with our third-party contractor, and I had some reservations. We engaged with them, and it felt like that kind of came true. So trust is an important thing. Also, we had a short-term contract, and we told the third-party contractor, at the end of the 3 months, the application that you produce, we might throw this away. This 3 months is very much just an experiment. And that gave us the upper hand in the relationship, because at the end of the day, if we needed that application in production in 3 months, we would have been beholden to this organization that we didn't feel comfortable continuing on with. So that's something to think about. You can, maybe an expensive experiment, but you can have that so that it's a 3-month cost as opposed to a much longer term cost. Also, speaking of cost, there's a lot of ways AI can be very hard to understand what you're paying for. So you look at OpenAI or Microsoft Azure's services, and you see things like tokens, you see input, you see output, you see models, and you're like, well, how does this actually translate into dollars? And the contractor that we engaged with, actually, the third-party contract that we engaged with, they had a platform that we had to use. And so, there was cost with that. And I understand, paying me as a human who has insurance for a spouse and 2 kids, that's also a lot of cost. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to be able to understand the language of what you're paying for. And that can be complicated. So that's a huge thing to consider. And trust, there's time. We talked a little bit about that. If you need it by a certain time, our team didn't. And so we had the time to explore and learn how to do this stuff on our own. If you don't have that time, a third-party contractor, AI contractor, may be the solution you want to go with. And then the other thing was collaboration. Our team wanted to be able to, build off of, maintain the solution on our own. We wanted to know how to use the technology, and if we didn't walk away with that knowledge, then we were, again, going to be beholden to this contractor. And so just thinking about these different factors, we decided that we didn't want to continue. And I don't regret engaging with the contractor. I think it was the right choice for us, but it also helped us make the decision that we ultimately made, which was to build it on our own.